The Golden Glasses, by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, The Return of Sherlock Holmes. Please share, comment, like or dislike, and subscribe to give us more energy and support us to do more content.
The Golden Glasses. One of the most interesting cases that Sherlock Holmes and I worked on was in 1894. It was at the end of November on a rainy night. Sherlock Holmes and I were reading by the fire late one evening when most people were already in bed. "It's good we don't have to go out in this weather, Watson," Holmes said. "Yes, it is," I said. Even though it was raining, we both heard a noise at that time outside the house. I looked out the window, but only saw darkness. "I think someone is coming here," I said to Holmes. "At this hour? Who could it possibly be?" he answered. We soon learned it was Stanley Hopkins, a young detective from Scotland Yard. We often helped him with special cases. When he came in, he was wet and cold. "Sit by the fire and warm yourself, detective," Holmes said. "Do you need our help with something?" "I am afraid so," Hopkins said. "Have you read the newspaper tonight?" "No, I haven't," Holmes answered. "I have been reading a book and didn't pick up the paper." "Well, there really isn't much to read actually," Hopkins said. "The case is new and there aren't that many facts yet. I only received it from Yoxley this afternoon myself." I was not familiar with Yoxley, so I asked, "Where's exactly Yoxley?" "It's in Kent," he said. "It's not a very big place. I thought this was going to be easy, but it seems to be just the opposite. There has been a murder of a man there, but I don't understand why anyone would want to kill him." "Sounds very interesting," Holmes said. "Please tell me more." "There is a small village with a large house there called Yoxley Old Place," he began. "A Professor Coram, who is an old man, moved there about 10 years ago. He is not in good health and walks with a cane. His neighbors became friendly with him, but don't see him very much. They all said he is a very clever man. He reads most of the time. He has a gardener named Mortimer and 2 other servants, a cook named Mrs. Marker and a young woman named Susan Tarleton. They have all been faithful to him and stayed there a long time." The detective continued after taking a drink of tea we had prepared for him. "About a year ago, Professor Coram hired a secretary because he began writing a book. This man didn't stay very long. He was not very good at his job. Then another man was hired for the same position. His name was Smith. He stayed and soon became not only a good secretary, but a friend and helper to the professor. Now, from working together every day, the book is almost finished. The problem is that the young man, Smith, is dead. I believe it was murder. Not many people come to the house, and the people there don't leave very often. Mortimer lives in a little house in the garden. The Yoxley Old Place is near the London Road, and someone can easily go through the garden gate to get to the house and leave unseen. I talked with Susan Tarleton, the servant girl, who said she was working between 11 and 12 o'clock this morning in one of the bedrooms. Professor Coram often gets up late and was still in bed at that time. Smith was reading a book in his bedroom. Miss Tarleton said she heard Smith go down to the professor's study and suddenly heard a loud cry. When she ran to the room, she found Smith laying on the floor and nearly dead. There was a lot of blood everywhere. Before he died, Mr. Smith Mr. Smith said a few words, but it was hard for Miss Tarleton to understand. She thinks he said, "The professor." It was she. The next person I talked to was the cook. She didn't get there until after Smith was already dead. The two women quickly went to check on Professor Conan in his bedroom and found him still in bed. He said he also heard the loud cry, but couldn't get out of the bed without help. Normally he gets up at noon with the help of Mortimer. The professor said he couldn't think of anyone who would have a reason to kill Mr. Smith. Mortimer called the police and they sent for me. I told everyone not to walk on the garden path or move anything in the house when I first arrived. I think there was someone who walked off the garden path so no one would notice. I could see signs that someone was near, but no footprints on the path. This person was very clever. When I arrived to the study where Mr. Smith was, I found a small knife near the body. I believe that was the murder weapon. It keeps in on the table in that room. I also found this pair of glasses. Holmes took the glasses and looked at them very carefully. He then took a piece of paper and wrote something on it and handed it to Hopkins. Hopkins looked at the note and read, "Look for a woman who is rich. She dresses very well and has a thick nose. Her eyes are close together. She has been to the eye doctor more than 2 times during the last few months. Her glasses are very expensive and very strong. There are not that many good opticians in London, so it shouldn't be hard to find hers. She also looks closely at things." The detective was surprised when he read the note, which showed on his face. I was also surprised. Holmes laughed and said, "Glasses can tell us a lot of things about the person who wears them. These glasses belong to a woman. I'm sure that they are very pretty. I'm also certain it was a woman because Mr. Smith said before he died it was she. She likes beautiful and expensive things because these glasses are made of gold. They are made for a thick nose and eyes that are close together." "But how did you know that she looks closely at things and she has been to an optician?" I asked. Holmes replied, "These glasses are very strong. Someone with weak eyes, if a person had bad eyes, he looked closely at things to see them better. These glasses have been repaired twice too. Can you see here that the gold is very new and yellow? At this place it is a little older." Hopkins looked at the places that Holmes showed us and said, "You are so clever, Mr. Holmes. Can you come to Yoxley Old Place tomorrow with Dr. Watson? You seem to already know more about this case than I do, and you have never been there." "Of course," we both said together. Since it was so late, Hopkins agreed to stay with us for the night. We caught the train at 6 o'clock the next morning. It had stopped raining the next day, but it was still very cold. The 3 of us stopped in Chatham to have breakfast before traveling on to Yoxley Old Place. When we finally arrived, a policeman was posted at the garden gate. Hopkins asked him a few questions about any changes or new information, and when there wasn't anything, we began to look around. "Here is the garden path, Mr. Holmes," Hopkins said. "Just as said, there are no footprints to be found." "Which side did you see the prints of the grass?" Holmes asked. "This side," Hopkins said, pointing to one side of the path. "Yes, I can see it now. It is very narrow here. Is there another way to get from the road to the house? Holmes asked. No, this is the only way I know of, Hopkins said. So you think the